and I'm an alcoholic. I've been working on the steps, and something is seriously wrong. Let me explain. I just recently lost my job. I worked down at PS 119, and I've been there for about a year since I became sober. And because I was the last one hired, I was the first one to go, so they let me go. I live on 43rd and 8th in a low-income housing project. I have a small studio. I pay $1,100 a month. I have no money in the bank. I've been living month to month since my wife left me and my life became unmanageable. So when I lost my job, I got really scared, because I didn't want to go back to the drinking. I didn't want to go back to those ways that I was, and I didn't want my PTSD to come up. So I decided the way that I would avoid depression would be that I would just lock myself in my apartment. I would just order in, I would just stay there, and there would be no way that I could have any access to alcohol or anything that would be detrimental to my mental health. So I did that. I stayed in my apartment, I watched Netflix, I ordered in Chinese from across the street. And then in about 3 weeks, I realized that I didn't have a job. And I didn't have the money for the rent, and that I would be thrown out on the street, and I would be homeless. So I decided to give it up to God. I was lying in bed one night, and I looked up at the ceiling, and I said, God, please help me, I'm sorry. And then my phone rang. I answered the phone, and it was a friend of mine, Tommy Score from college, who I had lent $1,000 to, and he said, I had the money for you. This was 20 years ago. He said, I had the money for you, and he said, because it's been so long, I'm going to give you 10% extra, which was $1,100 my rent. It just didn't make any sense. He wired the money the next day to Western Union, and I got the money, I put it in the bank, and I paid my rent. But something about it just didn't seem right. So I decided that I had to get a job. So I started looking for work, but when you're my age, it's hard. And plus, I didn't have much employment background. You know, I didn't have the resume, other than working in maintenance and being in the war. So I was able to, my brother-in-law got me some work. I had about $600, and again, it was a week before the rent. And I remember I decided I would go out and I would just kind of walk the streets and just look for change or things on the floor, on the ground. And I was walking down 42nd Street by the 7-Eleven, and I realized how ridiculous was what I was doing. So I remember looking up at God and saying, God, please help me, help me. My phone didn't ring. I waited. Nothing. And I made my way home. As I was walking home, I looked down on the ground, and there was one of those 10X scratch-offs, but it was all scratched off. I hadn't seen them yet, so I just picked it up and I looked at it. And basically, they have the prize number on one side, and they have 2 lines of numbers that match. And I looked at it, and a number from the top left matched the number in the bottom row. And it was for $500. It fucking freaked me out. I didn't know what to do, but I went home that night, and it was like my whole universe had changed. The way I saw the way the world was different somehow. Like, it just didn't make any sense. So I was lying in bed and I thought about it. I said, well, if I get this $500, I still won't have a job. And I said, God, please, can you find me a job, please? The next day, I took the scratch off down to the free news, and I cashed it in, the $500. And then the guy who works over there looked at me and said, hey, are you looking for a job? And I said, yeah. He goes, well, I'm looking for somebody, it's, it's 6 days, $500 a week cash. Are you interested? I said, yeah. But it just didn't make any sense. So I started working there. I work behind the counter and do a lot of machine, and I clean up and take the garbage out. And there's something good about it because I could focus on that, focus on the work, and just be there. But the problem was when I went home, I felt kind of scared being home because of my depression, because I've been locked in there for 3 months. So I decided that I would just go out to the playwrights bar around the corner. And I know that's wrong. I shouldn't go to a bar. But I knew if I was out in public with people and if I was close to it, I could stand up to it. Does it make sense? So I would go there every night, and I'd have a ginger ale, and some nights I would just look at it and say, I'm more than you. And I'd watch the people, and I'd watch the baseball game, and then I'd go home, and I'd work the next day. And I remember one night, I was at the playwrights bar, sitting there with my ginger ale, and this beautiful woman came down at the edge of the bar. Beautiful. I hadn't been with anyone since my wife left, and I was just feeling lonely. So I thought, God, I'd love to be with her. God, I would love to be with her. I looked over and she turned and she smiled at me. And then about a minute later, there's another ginger ale in front of me at the bar. And I look over and she lifts up her drink and she toasts me and I toast her. And God, she was so beautiful. And the next thing I know, she comes down and sits next to me. And we start to talk. And it was like I knew her all my life. It was like she was a part of me or something. And so we hit it off, and it was just unfreaking believable. We closed the bar, and then we went home to my place, where we made love until 5 in the morning. I didn't deserve this. We woke up about 9. I looked over her. She's the most beautiful, beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. Her eyes got kind of sleepy. She looked over at me and reached out and caressed me across the side of my face. And I said, hey, did you want to go for brunch? She said, sure. So we went over to Anita's on 9th Avenue and had a beautiful brunch, and just the whole thing didn't make any sense. It's like I gave it to God, but something about it was wrong. Something about it was wrong. But we sat there and having brunch, and it was great, an amazing, beautiful time, and I just felt so happy. And then all of a sudden, this bum came up and he started panhandling, you know, because there's the railing there. And so I gave him $5, and he didn't go away. So I said, please, you just gotta go away, please, please. He said, I didn't want to be mean. I said, please, just gotta go away, but he wouldn't. He wouldn't. And then Marissa started to get upset, so I said, please, God damn it, God, take him away! And then all of a sudden, I heard a scream. And a taxi cab busts through the side of the thing and crosses Marissa and the homeless man against the wall. I didn't know what to do. I just ran. I ran home. I ran. I went to my apartment. And I watched the news at night. And Marissa and the panhandler were killed. I wanted to look to God for help. I couldn't. So I don't think I gave it up to God. I think I gave it up to something else.